Hi everyone. I would like to, in this video, explain to you the context and the mechanics of doing question 3 in assessment 2, which is about the HR departmental budget. Okay, so the question asks you to, based on information provided below, complete the HR department budget for the XYZ company, ignore capital expenditure budgeting for this exercise for the year ending 31 December 2023 using the template provided. In practice, you would be drawing up a budget for each month of the year to arrive at the annual budget. But for the sake of this assessment, we're asking you to work with annual figures. So question 3, budgets. Maybe what I should put in here, this is a simulation. I'm using different numbers. Okay, so it's a different context, but the same principles, the same calculations will be needed for the question in the assessment. So the context, XYZ company's budget planning starts in September each year and is completed in October after the September results are available. For the purpose of the budget, the company uses the 9-month actual, January to September, plus the 3 months, October to December forecast to arrive at the current year, 2022, performance estimate, which sets the base for drawing up the budget for the following year, which is 2023. So I just want to provide you some context for the way this budget is drawn up, and give you a broader context for what HR will be involved in, but we're not addressing that in this question. So what I've written here is that the HR division will be involved with planning for the entire company's employee requirements in terms of overall company headcount and related costs. In this overall master staffing planning effort, and I'm just using that name, in business there might be a different name for that effort, the HR manager will work very closely with finance and the rest of the business managers and the MD, CEO, board of directors, whoever needs to be involved of the business to ensure that the plan meets the requirements of the business's strategic intentions. So we need a certain level of headcount, manpower, womanpower, staffing employees, to support the strategy of the business, because the people will will fulfill the work to achieve the strategy. So after completion of this master staffing exercise, in terms of the general principle of responsibility accounting, so responsibility accounting is, I'm the department head or the vice president or the general manager of, let's say, the research and development department. All the costs relating to the research and development department, what is in my budget will be what I'm responsible for and that I can account for. For example, in the research and development department, as the R&D manager, I am responsible for saying I need a head count of 10 or 2 or 13, depending on the size of the business. And for responsibility accounting purposes, the employees of the R&D division, their salaries, cost to company, will be included in the R&D departmental budget. So because that manager is responsible for those people. So this is what I've basically said. Each department in a business will reflect their direct employee costs in their departmental budget. For example, in the prescribed reading budget chapter, which is the prescribed book, the book shows the marketing department budget, in which the budget shows salaries and related costs as personnel expenses for the marketing department. The general idea is that the marketing manager has the final say in her or his staffing decisions, of course with support from the HR division and aligned with the master staffing plan described above. The marketing department manager must therefore carry the responsibility and be accountable for the marketing department's personnel expenses. In a similar way, the HR manager is responsible for the HR department and in terms of responsibility accounting will be responsible for and held accountable for his or her HR department staffing costs. And that is our approach for this assessment. Therefore, for the purpose of this module, the HR department budget will show the HR department employee-related costs, and the other divisions in the business will show their employee costs in their departmental divisional budgets. In budget reviews, the management team will account for their departmental or divisional budget expenditure, and where needed, the team will also reflect on the master staffing plan and the actual versus budget comparisons in that overall plan to retain an overall sense of the employee cost to company costs. So that's the context of the assessment. So in terms of what you as the HR professional is now busy with this HR departmental budget, is before getting input and help from the financial planning department, you would like to draw up a preliminary HR department budget for the year ending 31 December 2023 that you can present to the focal point in finance that will assist you in finalizing your HR department budget. There will be someone in finance responsible for coordinating budget and providing expertise, financial expertise, but you first want to draw up a draft and then present it to that person. So the context is that based on all the pre-budget planning sessions within the HR department and between the HR department and the other departments within XYZ company, you have the following information available relating to 2023. The total number of employees in a company estimated at the end of the year will be 812, and that includes the HR department staff. So the sales division predicts an increase of 12% in sales volume. Because of the planned increase in productivity and excess capacity of current staff, staffing levels, excluding the HR department staff, are expected to rise by only 3%. So although sales goes up by 12%, the staffing levels only go up by 3%. So that just gives you an idea of how sales may drive capacity and headcount and so on. I mean, the figures, one can debate the figures, but it just gives you an idea of the, of the variables. So that's the context of the assessment. And then the company plans an average salary-related total cost to company increase of 6% for the new year. And then I'm making the point here in item D here, notes A, B, and C, which is the total staffing, the sales forecast, staffing increase by 3%, and the average salary increase of 6%. Those variables I'm saying here, notes A, B, and C, reflect the outcomes of the master staffing planning that I discussed above, where we referred to responsibility accounting. The HR department needs this information to be able to determine various HR department cost elements as noted below. And I just want to pause here for a moment. The assessment in the module outline is not as detailed as this to the context, but call this video perhaps a combination of a mini lecture and working through the numbers. So it gives you better context for the numbers, I think, than what is in the assessment. So you interpret the assessment where there's less detail. You will interpret the assessment according to this profile. All the profile in all this write-up. So now we're getting to the HR department plans for its staffing levels to reduce, the HR department staff to reduce to 11 people from 12. because of one staff member's retirement with effect from 1 January 23, and the other staff member has resigned effective on the same date as the retiree. The person who has resigned will be replaced at the salary which is 15% lower than the current cost to company of 800,000 for the position that has resigned. And the new replacement employee will only start in April 23. The retiree's cost to company annual package salaries and related for the 2022 year is 875,000, and this position will not be filled. So let me go immediately to the, keep this perhaps there, and I want to go to an Excel sheet that will, why is this not coming up? Okay, let me ignore that for a moment, ignore that. I want to have the Excel sheet. This is the Excel sheet. So I'm doing these calculations. I'm doing the calculations to demonstrate in an Excel worksheet. So I'm going to flip from the one to the other as we get through the questions, these situations. Just firstly, come back to, there's the total budget that you'll see something similar in the question 3 in your assessment. So what I've done to demonstrate the calculations is just for ease of viewing, I've done it in this way. There's no other meaning for the left and the right. It's just simply for ease of viewing. You will see that I need to just take this. Where do I go from here? No. Okay, so I'm not sure how to move from left to right, so let me just see if I can do this. Yeah, this will work. I'm recording this, so the recording button is on these left-right arrows, so I can't navigate. So I've got to reduce this to this. So what I've done here is that's for ease of viewing, and the HR budget after completion is in that format that you will see in the workings that I've done here. Okay. So go back. So that's ease of viewing, and then firstly the total employees of the business. Remember, it said a total number of staff, including HR, in a 2022 year, 812. HR staff included in that number is 12. You need to take that out because the question says the increase in staff, the 3%, will be calculated on the employees in a company, but excludes the HR employees. So that's the net value, number of people, 800, and then a 3% increase is 24, and that's the formula for that. A D4 is that one, okay, and then in that cell you want by how much the staff increases, and this is the formula for 3%. Okay, so then the total employees is 824, and after the HR adjustments of staff, the staffing is HR department 11, so the total company staffing is at 835. Okay, so let me go to where did I pause here? Yeah, I think I was with the HR department, movements in terms of money and all of that, and headcount. So here's the HR department's salary budget, and I've worked it out here, and you can go through this carefully. And that's the questions over there, and then I'm doing the calculation here. So the HR department cost for 2022 is that, which comes from that budget that you were given for 2022, and that equals to 12 staff. There's a retirement, so you reduce the cost to company for 2022 by that cost to company, which is in the question, and you reduce the staffing with 1 minus 1. There's a resignation, cost to company 800, reduce the staffing cost, and headcount minus 1. But you're appointing a new person, and they are going into the books at a cost to company of 510,000, and that is for 9 months next year, the 2023, and that is plus 1 staff member. Total cost to company at 2022 values is 8,660,000 for 11 people, and then you calculate the 6% salary increase. The 6% is that value, and if you add that to the 8 million, you get 900, 185, and 960. Okay, you'll have this worksheet. You can work through this carefully. So just how we get to this calculation, okay, no, not that one, this one, the new appointee, is that the person that's resigned is 800,000 cost to company. So you need to reduce that by 15%, which is 800,000 times 15 divided by 100 equals 120,000. So 120,000 is 15% of 800,000. So the reduced salary is 800,000 minus the 120,000, which is 680,000 per annum. But this appointee will only start work in April, which is 9 months. So he or she will work 9 months of 12 months. So your reduction there is the new appointee salary for 9 months is the annum yearly cost of 680,000 times 9 divided by 12 gives you 510,000. So that is the HR department budget, which is over here. And then I'm demonstrating a formula. That formula there takes this value into the table. Okay. The external audit, I'm not going to go to that Word document because I've basically copied all the instructions below each of these sheets. Hopefully you can see this. Let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. So the next budget item is HR external audit. So HR plans for a more extensive HR external audit, the cost of which is estimated to be 300 Rand rather per employee. The estimated headcount for 2023 from the total employees sheet, remember we calculated that over here, okay, is 835, and that would be what the formula looks like if you go to another sheet. So you do this to do that, and so you say equal, and then you go to another sheet like this, and you say you want to bring that number across, and then you bring it across, and that is how Excel refers to another sheet like that. Okay. So that's 835 employees, and the external audit will be 300 Rand per employee. So 835 times 300 gives you 250,500. The employee survey, the company has decided to change the outsourced provider of the annual employee survey to better align with its best company to work for strategy. The new contract provides for a cost of 375 Rand per employee for the employee attitude survey. It's the same calculation. It's the number of employees for 2022 23, including HR, times the cost per employee of 375, and one multiplied by the other gives you 313,125, and that value pulls that number from cell D22. Okay, and so we're filling out the budget elements step by step systematically. So then the next adjustment or budget issue is because of the pending new legislation to be implemented in 2023, legal and related fees and labor relations consulting services are expected to rise by 20% each. So the actual estimate for 2022 for legal and related is 121,000. For labor relations consulting, it's 110,200, and a percentage increase is indicated over here. 20% is 121,000 times 20 divided by 100 gives you 24,200. 20% increase on 110,200 is 20% on 110,200 times 20. So it's 110,200 times 20 divided by 100, 22,040. So that is 20% of that, and that is 20% of that. Now you need to calculate the budget. So your legal and related fees is that one plus that one, which is that one. Okay, and the labor relations is that one plus that one gives you that. And I've just, instead of doing that the long way, I've basically just put in one formula, which is C21, which is the old 22 cost, 121,000, okay, times 1,2. Remember what I said, what is percentage? 3% was 1,03, so 20% therefore is 1,2. And the asterisk is the sign that you use for multiply in Excel formulas. Okay, you can go through this slowly on your own. And then the number, those two numbers then pull through from the bottom, and we're a couple of steps further in filling out our budget sheet. So job profile, competencies, profiling and competency assessment. An outsourced consulting firm is to review each job profile and associated competencies. The cost for 2023 is estimated to be 450 per job profile. There are 500 different job profiles needed as some of the staff perform similar jobs. The last profiling competencies assessment was done 3 years ago. That's just additional information. So how many job profiles? You've got 500. Cost per profile is 450. And the budget for that item for this year, for next year, is 500 times 450 gives you that number. And there you can see I've multiplied the one cell value times the other cell value, C21 by C22, and that's the value. And that pulls through, and we've stepped further on filling out the budget form. The job grading review, a more comprehensive job grading review. The last job grading review was done 3 years ago, also just additional information. The cost for 2023 is estimated to be 425 per employee. By now, I think you know the calculation. It is the 835 employees estimated for the new year, times the per employee number, which is 425 Rand. So the job grading review for 2023 is 835 times 425, and that's the number. And it's D21 times D22. And then it pulls through to the budget form. Okay, and then we go to the next item. So the new leaders program, an expansion of the new leaders program. This will increase the cost of this program by 151,000, and currently the cost is 549,000, which is that one. Cost increase of that, which is that one, and it's a simple 549 plus 151,000. And that then pulls through to that cell number D10. So there's an onboarding induction. You know, when new people start, they get an induction program as HR graduates or potential graduates. I think you know that. And you are also, perhaps most of you will be working already in companies. So a revised, more focused onboarding program. The cost for this will be R500 per employee for 2023. The number of new employees will be limited to the 3% staff increase, which excludes the HR department staff. And you can remember from that first tab or the second tab, that's the calculation for employees. And at 3% on the 800 excludes HR, the 3% is 24. So the budget for onboarding would be that 24, which is the 3% increase, per cost per additional employee, 500. That gives you an onboarding budget for next year of 12,000. Okay. Then all other expenses. So just imagine that there's nothing in here. Okay. I don't know why I'm saying that. But anyway, okay, so I'm doing an example of how to calculate that. So if we take the salary survey estimated 2022 cost, which is 9 months actual and 3 months estimate. So for 2022, we estimate that our actual will be 20,000, which is reflected in in cell C12. Okay. So that amount plus all these other grey shaded amounts will increase as follows. All other costs will increase from the current year, which is in salary survey, as an example, 20,000, in line with the staffing level increase of 3%. And the second increase is by 5% for inflation. So there are two increases that need to be brought into play here. So the example of the calculation is step by step here. Is the salary survey estimated cost for the current year is 20,000. The 2022 cost must increase with 2 percentages. One, 20,000 times 3%. And the calculation is 20,000 times 3 divided by 100, and that is 600. So the new total for this expense after the first calculation is 20,600. But you need to also apply a second percentage to the second percentage increase must now be applied. And the second percentage increase is... Yeah, okay, so I just want to change this number. So you just have seen me making a mistake here. So that should be 600, okay, because the first percentage increase was 3%, okay, which is 600. And then the new total for this expense after the first calculation is 2,600. And the 2,600 times 5%. Let me just make sure that the percentage was correct that I calculated there. Yeah, the 5% on the 20,600 is 1,030. So I just want you to get this concept. Is the first increases to that value, and the next percentage is applied to that increased value like that. Okay. The formula does not work like this. So 3% on that, in a wrong way of calculating this, will be 600, which the first part is correct. But some students do this, and they say 5% on this will give you, I think, 1,000 Rand. and then 20,000. And that's the wrong number. Okay, it's 30 rand more than that. So this is the incorrect way. It's not a addition. It is a multiplication issue. Just follow the guideline in this document. Okay, so I'll just fix that up. So that's the correct way of doing it. In Excel, you can simplify the above calculations by creating a formula. Your base cost of 20,000 increased by 5%. In Excel, the formula is 20,000 times 1,03 equals 20,600. Your cost for this item after adding 3% is now 2,600. This must now be increased with a further 5%. In Excel, the formula is 20,600 times 1.05 gives you 21,630. Okay. You can further reduce the steps in Excel by creating only one formula. Okay. The salary survey cost is depicted in cell C12. So C12 is C12. C12. Okay. This it's in C12. C is the Excel sheet's column heading, top left to right, and 12 is the row indicator down here, as I've shown you. You want the answer to a 3% and a 5% increase to be displayed in cell D12 above. So that's the old estimated 22 for this year. We want the new year's budget. So you want the calculation there to calculate the, the 3% and a 5% all in one formula, and I want it in there. So I'm just explaining it over here. And where's this now? I've just got sidetracked there for a moment. You can serve it, yeah. So you want the answer to displayed in cell D12 above. In Excel, you can simplify the above calculations by creating a formula cell D as follows. In cell D12, yeah, you pick another mistake here. It must be, just see here. Make sure that I don't mislead you. Yeah, no, that's correct. You create a formula in D12, which is C12, where the old value is, times plus 3%, which is times 1.03. And on that value, you multiply it again, times 1.05, and then you will get the correct number in here. So if you look at the formula over there, there is the formula. It is C12, and then multiply by 3% and multiply by 5%. Or add it 3%, and on the new value, add another 5%, and that is what you get there. You can test the numbers manually, as I've done it as well. So all of the expenses in grey background. In grey background. In a grey background, we'll have a unique cell reference. And I've got some examples here, and you'll see here, for example, Human Resource Information System is in C14, and HR Conferences is in G12. So you do the same thing for all of these cells, the same formula, and I just want to show you an easy way to do that. You can do it the long way, but let me show you why did that not. Okay, so you've done a formula once. So what you do is you click on copy here, copy, and then you highlight those 3 cells, and you go to paste and press on a down button, and you press formula FX for the formula. Okay, there, that FX. And there it's pasted that, and then you can do the same over this side, paste formula, and there's your formulas all in for all those items. You don't need to do them one by one. The template, the answer template will look different to this, but I want to give you this experience with this exercise, and I will also give you the other template to then do on your own without me guiding you through it. Try that, and then there will be a model answer for that as well. Okay. Okay, so just to remember that when I first started studying accounts, I was quite amused by the lecturer that said that accounting is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And what he meant was that you need to practice, practice, practice. You can't read and try and study it by reading. You need to do the calculations. Make mistakes, go back, redo until you grasp it. It's really the only way. So then, as I mentioned, so that's all done. And then from this, I just created what it would look like in the answer sheet for you. It will be something like this, where you will have the 2022 estimate, which is 9-month actual and 3 months estimate, and then you will have your budget, which we calculated through all the calculations that I went through with you now. So hopefully this is helpful to you. Again, if you have any questions, please do contact me, and I wish you well.